Hello. So I'm taking this walk down the River Thames. It's a beautiful morning. Not very sunny, but not very cold. The river is lush green and calm. Oh, this is not certainly the widest part of the river. I'm in Oxford now. Thames in London is a magnificent sight. I have walked down the Thames in Windsor as well. There were so many swans, black and white swans, as well as ducks. They always move together, the swans and ducks. There are so many boats in this part of the river. That's probably why there aren't any birds here. I don't know. On the other side of Thames here is the Christ Church meadow. Lawns and meadows are a very important part of the British geography. I have been thinking about the presence of Thames in English literature. The earliest references to Thames that we know of is from Spenser, of course. His Prothalamion is set on the banks of the Thames, talking about two swans and the nymphs. The nymphs are probably the ducks. And musing over the marriage of two aristocratic girls, Catherine and Elizabeth Somerset. I don't know if Thames is a major presence in neoclassical literature. Well, she takes in Rape of the Lock, Belinda takes a boat ride to go to Hampton Court. Does she? I don't remember clearly. There's a little darling here coming straight at me.
Oh.
Well, the Thames is a very major motif in romantic literature, definitely. In William Wordsworth, there are so many poems of Wordsworth set on the banks of the Thames. You could apply the theory of chronotope in studying the Thames, or any river for that matter. I'm sure people must have done that already. There's nothing new about it, I suppose. Chronotope, you might know, is a very major term in philosophy and language studies, talking about how space and time are represented in language. The geography of Thames, the spatial images that it brings to us, the paradigms of time associated with the Thames. How does it relate to culture and history and memory? Oh, I'm sure thousands of people must have thought about it already and done research on that. I'm saying some of you could read up on that. That will lead you to reflect originally on other experiences, other rivers or other, spaces or the geographical entities around you that you find in literature and culture. How does the river create a mindscape? How does it differ from the mindscapes created by deserts or mountains? I'm fascinated to think about all that. I really have this dream of conducting seminars on topics like rivers in literature, mountains in literature, deserts in literature. You see, it will be a wonderful thing to talk about how people have responded to such experiences of geography and climate and culture differently. Not that nobody has done it before, but we have not done it probably. I've been walking for almost an hour now and I don't feel tired. Whereas in India, because of South India that is, because of the hot climate, to walk for 20 minutes is like, oh my God. I'm so happy that it's not very cold today. I don't enjoy that biting cold, you know. I like moderate weather. Oh, yesterday it was raining and I didn't have an umbrella. I just got into a pub and sat down there with a book. Luckily the rain stopped. These boats are not a pretty sight because I feel like it's a huge violation on the river, on the beauty and the sensitivity of the river. I look upon the river as a very tender, sensitive skin that is broken by the violence of a boat being driven through it. Whereas the rowboats are much calmer and there are people rowing and coming up to us. Can you see them? They are professional rowers. Yeah, we were talking about literary representations of the Thames, and we talked about the romantic poets. Not really talk about, we just mentioned them. After the romantic poets, obviously the most important writers who represented Thames must be the modernists. The wasteland, where the Thames does not have a very romantic image anymore. As I was talking to you now, the wasteland represents the violation of human civilization on the river. The river is polluted with dead bodies and garbage. It represents sterility. But at the end of the wasteland, T.S. Eliot turns to the Ganges and the rain on the banks of the Ganges. Two rivers, Thames and Ganges, representing the West and the East. He somehow felt that turning to Eastern cultures, turning to Ganges would solve the problems of Western civilization. There's another little darling. Well, T.S. Eliot wrote before the time when the West encroached into the East completely. Now there is no East. Everything has become westernized, Americanized. This morning I was talking to my landlady about environment and different approaches in England and India. And then I talked about how consumption and corporations have corrupted cultures. And then she quickly said, well, she had been in India. They had lived in Bangalore for some time. And then she quickly turned to me and said, oh, the problem is capitalism. You come from the communist part of India, don't you? I said, yes. Well, I can't help it. That's part of my reality and identity. Ah, look at the beauty of the flowing river. Do you see the beautiful skin? Can you understand what I mean when I say the river is a skin? There is so much life under the skin. Those ripples